Bobby Boyd.
Chuck's on.
Morning, everybody. Drew Sepperly here from Baitworks here again. Appreciate you guys joining us on the 5th episode of Tacklecast. Quite the milestone. Anyways, before we kind of jump right into it, we've had a lot of questions and about the swim bait and stuff like that. And brings us to our special guest today, all the way from the opposite side of the building.
Yeah.
Mr. Brennan Banks.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Man, appreciate you taking time, joining us a little bit today. We did some questions on some of the swim bait stuff that we carry in the store,
right.
And some of our selection, and that led into some questions about equipment. And you're the resident guru.
I know what to use.
I figure you've logged an hour or two with a swim bait in your hand. So we're going to jump into that here shortly. Just wanted kind of a touch base. We always like to come out with some new stuff, kind of tell you what's new in the shop. So here this week we did get, I came out last year, but it was really hard to get. But Strike King's Hybrid Hunter and Hybrid Hunter Junior, we just got those in. They've been selling really well online. Good little shallow water baits, work well in grass. They were a player down there on the St. John's a couple weeks ago in the Elite Series. But we do have those in stock, a whole slew of different colors. Also here locally, A-Rig season, and did get some new stuff in from Picasso. I don't know if you fished any of these.
Hadn't fished those ones.
So anyways, I have a Stealth blade, which is, you probably can't see it, but it's a black nickel blade. A-Rig comes in the original and the junior. They also have, I don't know why, I didn't think of this, the gold and nickel blade. I mean, all your spinnerbaits have gold and nickel spinnerbait blades. But so this one has some gold and nickel blades mixed in on it as well. And then kind of a new thing, didn't have blades, but the Perfection rig from Picasso gives you a few more places, some hitchhikers to screw on some more dummy baits.
I like that.
Yeah, I haven't fished this one, but man, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I like, I think a lot of them are getting used to blades and maybe high pressure situations, and this just gives those fish something else to look at. So we kind of have that going on, and then I know everybody's on pins and needles, but before we just jump into the topic at hand, I do want to reach out. So we've started carrying Halo fishing rods not too long ago, a few months back. But anyway, so they've partnered up with the OMTT, the Ozark Mountain Team Trail, and they have a contingency program that's pretty cool. So we'll have some flyers such as this at the register if anyone's interested. Here, it's kind of, this one's kind of target to locally, but you have basically the options to win some cash and win some rods. So what you have to do, any Ozark Mountain Team angler can purchase 2 rods, which is a XD3, which is a $109 price point rod, an HFX or the KS2 series. You get your receipts, register. You can go online or text your receipt number and data and all that fun stuff. Is Halo Ozark, one word. Phone number and stuff. We, if you're interested, let us know. Just reach out. We can get that to you. But anyways, the highest qualifying team out of the money, you get a chance to win a rod. And then after that, at the end of the season, point standings, the top 3 qualifying teams, you get a bonus, cash bonus. So if you're registered in program, at the end of the season, you have a shot at first place, $1,000 incentive money. If you're second, $750. You're third, $250. So that's pretty cool. With the Halo's partnered up with OMTT. I know it is a little difficult to see, but this is their HFX series, about a $150 price point. Comes in a lot of different actions and lengths. They all feel really good. They've got a 7.6 crankbait rod we've been selling here recently that feels pretty good. Have some on order and should be getting the whole fresh lineup in, ready to go. But anyways, if you're interested in maybe potentially winning some free stuff and some extra money at the end of your OMTT season, might check out Halo. Great rod for the value, price point, super sensitive, and just good all around. The actions are pretty dialed. They've been selling pretty well. Haven't had any issues. I know Mr. Randley Conlon has been using them for several months, and he absolutely loves them. So I've got one of the spinning rods. I've fished it just a little bit, Ned rig type stuff, but small little swim baits, and it's been pretty good, pretty sensitive rod. So anybody's interested, come check us out, or any other local Halo dealers. Same thing. Now we got that out of the way. Let's get down to it. So we had some questions concerning the swim baits, and I know I brought some kind of let you know what we're talking about, either a hard glide of different sizes, whether it's that or bigger soft swim bait. Some of the equipment, from reels to whether you're using fluoro or mono, or you're using braid.
Right. As far as reels go, anything that most people starting out are going to need 200 to 300 size reel. Loose Super Duty 300 is a good one, like a Tranx 200. Anything for that 2 to 4 ounce range, you'll be all right. 300 size reels, you can throw some pretty big stuff on. But you don't got to get too crazy with the reels. Just make sure it's a good quality reel, as big as you can go. A lot has to do with just the line capacity. You're using 25 pound line or 65 pound braid, so you want to have a lot of line capacity there. You're not casting out your whole spool and messing up your inches per turn way out on the end of a cast.
What gear ratio do you prefer?
I like a high gear for most everything, so faster the better.
Sure.
You can always kind of slow down. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. As far as rods go, treble rods, you really kind of want. I always say you wouldn't want to throw your jerk bait on a jig rod, right?
Right.
So same thing with a glide bait or anything with a treble hook. Even a soft bait with a treble hook on it, I'm gonna throw same rod as I would a glide bait. A soft bait with a jig hook in it, say, that's when you're having to move that plastic through their mouth, and you want a real stout rod.
Gotcha.
But as far as treble hook goes, you want a real parabolic rod. Anything like a deep crankbait rod, even for some of the smaller stuff, works pretty good.
Just so you're not something that absorbs that power of that fish. So
Right.
It makes total sense because you got this big old bait here. They're hooked outside the mouth, they're right in the mouth, and you've got all that even single hook, single treble, but still got some lot of weight to throw that bait.
Right.
So you're liking that rod to absorb that versus big old single hook where you can just wrench on them.
Yep, exactly.
You're not worried about them throwing it as much.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. As far as your lengths or actions,
as far as fluorocarbon, I like to fish it whenever the water's real clear, or like in the wintertime, fishing low and slow, needing to keep that bait down. Like I said, braid to mono is what I fish, shallow around cover, fishing real reactive, getting mad with the baits,
Okay.
It just responds a little better. And a lot of people say,
is that straight fluoro when you're doing that? Or
yeah,
straight
fluoro.
Okay.
Straight fluoro, and like I said, clear water, deep situations, mostly soft baits, or just really soaking a glide out there for a long time. But braid to mono, people say it's a weak link, but I don't think so, because that braid, I've never had it break in the braid. So if I'm fishing in a lot of nasty stuff where I'm getting nicked up, I can just replace that leader, keep replacing that leader. And that knot, if you tie it right, it's not going to break. I use the modified Albright or the Alberto, 5 reps each way. And it doesn't fail.
Yeah.
So, people say it's a weak link, but if you just keep replacing your leader, I know there's not a weak link in there. And, I don't have a nick 40 foot up my fluorocarbon.
Right. Well,
somewhere.
and you're using a bait like this, so you don't, if you've got 10 foot of 20 pound mono out there attached, they're not line shy.
No.
You're looking.
Like I said, in the clear, cold water where I'm soaking it, leaving it out there for a long time,
Like
they're
that
taking their
fluorocarbon.
time. That's when I use the fluoro. Keeps it down a little better, a lot more, less visible.
Heavy cover when they're just looking at the groceries.
Yeah, if I'm ripping it across the surface or fishing up around cover, fishing in current, that's when I like to braid to mono. I don't use braid to fluoro, but braid to mono.
And I've noticed I do a lot of braid to mono on the crappie side of things. Far opposite end of the spectrum. But that knot becomes so much more stronger just because fluorocarbon doesn't have that stretch.
Yep.
So it puts so much more stress on those knots. I don't care what knot you tie. Maybe the FG.
Right.
I don't tie with my toenails or
I haven't
anything.
messed with that.
But in my experience, even just that mono having that little bit of stretch, I have not had that Alberto knot fail or
if you
your
tie it
braid
right,
break.
and you can
braid
look at
break,
it after you've tied it and know it's good.
Yeah, and that just by having that little bit of stretch, it just absorbs so much of that shock. But so as far as, covered the line, covered all that stuff. We went into reels a little bit. We do have so I know you're a big proponent of F5 rods.
I do like my F5.
Then there's some other, I know we've had some requests. I'm working on getting some Dabas in the store. We have some KGB rods. There's some other ones out there. But I will let Brennan, because we do have, thanks to Brennan and his relationship with F5. If anybody's interested, we're a few months down the road, but
prototype, not the completed model here, but it'll be something pretty close. Gonna change a few things.
But yeah, so we've partnered with F5, and
be cool.
August, September.
Yep,
something like that. We get the, but we'll have a Baitworks exclusive series of F5 rods available.
Same quality you're used to with F5. It's going to be same thing, but I think we're going to have 4 models.
I think 4 models.
4 different models are going to cover anything from your little treble hook baits up to your big treble hook baits and soft baits.
So they're all, is there 2 7-11s and 2 8s, or were they all 8s?
I think one of them 7.6, might have a 7.10 and then 2 at 8.
So, okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And so that'll cover you from small single hooks to all the way up to 9, legends and up.
Yep. Well, even bigger.
Yeah.
I think we'll have the extra heavier model. It'll do, up to 6 or 7 ounces. So,
and so you're liking, obviously, big 2-handed casting, letting the rod load up, do the work.
Yep.
Kind of a big butt section. You can grip, make it easier on your arm, forearm, all that fun stuff when you're throwing. F5, that name is really, really carrying a lot of weight on that swim bait side of things. Super high quality components. I think Fuji guides.
Yep.
Fuji reel seat.
Fuji components on these.
Double footed guides. They're
all the way up.
They're pretty slick. We're working on fine tuning the colors a little bit. It's hard to see. This is black with kind of an olive wrap. It looks pops in the sunlight. But so we're still changing, getting some works on some of the graphics, but pretty excited to have that rod.
Me too.
Series of rods coming out.
They'll be sweet. They'll have you covered. All the way through pretty well.
And they're not, I know as far as the swim bait realm, they're not going to be super expensive.
No, not at all. As far as F5, his blanks that are just bulletproof and Fuji components all the way through, they're going to be worth it for sure.
What's that warranty like through F5?
Well,
have you ever had any issues? I guess you should say.
I've not broken one of his in 5 years. They don't break. I've got a couple that should have broken, and all they've done is splintered, just a couple little splinters off the side of it.
Yeah,
and they just don't break.
I know you've logged a few hours with him.
Yeah, I think he like his MBT series. I think he's sold upwards of 800 of those, and he's had maybe 4 or 5 of them break.
Yeah,
and that's over the last 3 years, I want to say. So the breakage issue isn't really there at all.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think that's gonna be neat. We get some of that stuff in, really get you dialed in, because some of that stuff, glide baits necessarily may not be for everybody. I know a lot of guys, it's like you're fishing for follows and stuff like that. No. I know it's a different mindset to some degree.
No.
But if a guy, you're good at it.
Well, you go throw it enough, and you'll
exactly, and that's
get on the right.
And that's
day.
the thing. And I just need to go down. I'm just going to put one rod in the boat and just go. But if you're really looking to get into the swim baits and not even the glide baits, but you've got a really good option and a really good rod, we can get you covered. Because even those big, that freestyle from Maybass is a great one, but it's a 6-inch. It's not, not super heavy.
Yep.
But
the regular
gosh, you can get into. You can get into some big plastic baits that you can just throw a 1 ounce lead head on. Yep. But you need it. That's just like everything else.
The big old broomstick.
Yeah. Just like everything else we kind of talk about, if a high school kid's coming in here, do you have to have a rod for every bait? Absolutely not. You've got some core stuff you can get, but it's like golf clubs. If you really want to get into it, and fine tune those techniques and become better at certain techniques, you have to have the right tools. And F5 is just allowing us to sell better tools.
Absolutely.
So we're pretty excited about that. So we'll have more in the works coming down the pipe on that one. Now, as far as won't get like too into tips and tricks, or we can do another series. We'll just do an on the water one. John, you up for that? Yeah. great.
Cool.
But some of these other, why we're here, and we kind of have a little bit of time. I don't want to get into super, but we kind of touched some of the equipment. Some of these, we obviously partnered with Kevin there at KGB, and they're great baits. And I know you use his stuff and use some others. But there are some little tips. We do get some other questions in the store. What's the sink rate?
Yeah. I mean, those are going to be just a rate of fall 3 to 4,
And so
they're a slow sink.
And that 3 to 4, for that's out there, that's 3 to 4 foot.
For every 10 seconds.
Per every 10 seconds. The Legend, same thing?
Yep.
And side note, we should be getting some Legends into this week, hopefully. Anyways, if you want to change that, I know we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can downsize your hooks or put suspend strips on it. Those are ones that come on at stock. You can put number 2s on it, which I've done. It doesn't hurt any hookup really or anything like that. Or you can slap suspend strips on it and get it down. Mm-hmm. Even the line you play with, mono versus fluoro. There's a lot of things you can do just to put it in the right strike range,
Yeah. And don't think it's, here locally we get like that. The Chad not as much anymore, but that Legend, they're like, what are you fishing for that with?
Yeah.
And you're like,
spotted bass even.
Yeah. I was like, you would be shocked. So it's not a West Coast, it's not a Texas, it's not a Florida thing.
Everywhere.
All
over the U.S. They'll eat them.
Yeah. You've logged in. Well, what you were Texas, Oklahoma, and all over.
Yep.
They eat it. I'm at work, and and he comes back. I see all these pictures of this dude over here with big old giant fish, or not giant fish, and big old giant baits hanging out of their mouth.
Yep.
So
they don't care.
I say just putting in the time, and I'll just admit I haven't put in the time.
That's all it takes.
But
a lot of people think they're fishing it wrong or not using the right kit. Just you can't really fish it wrong. Just play with your cadence. Go play with.
So it brings up cadence. I do. That is a question since it kind of leads me to that. It's a good one. You're working it with the reel primarily, right? It's nothing you're doing. Got a lot of guys, a lot of questions.
Very little. I mean, you kind of can put some English on it with the rod.
Right. And I think, and you say working it wrong, in some degree, it is just a reel. You're primarily using the reel.
Yep, with almost all swim baits, it's usually just a reel cadence. Just
speeding up, slowing down. Yep. I mean, what little bit, you can get KGB to turn around on itself real easily.
Yep.
And that's just by doing the reel.
Yep. Nothing else to it, really.
See, he makes it sound easy. It's just that easy.
No, I mean,
add water.
Besides cadence, the biggest thing is angles and boat positioning. A lot of people are just sitting there casting them straight at the bank and bringing them out into deep water, and that's why they're only getting follows and then they peel off and follows and they peel off. Is they don't want to chase a bait out into deep water and then try and catch it out in the middle of nowhere. You got to put that bait up against something.
Dropping knowledge.
Yeah. Put it in an ambush point.
Ambush predator.
Yeah, put it in a spot to be eaten.
Makes perfect sense.
They'll come up and eat it out in open water, but
right.
Most of the time you got to put it up next to something or put it in a bad spot.
Boat positioning.
Yep.
Casting.
That's the biggest key.
Crucial. Makes perfect sense, and that's something I hadn't honestly given much thought to. But you do the same thing with a wart or a rock crawler.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it with a swim bait?
Yep.
Perfect sense. Brennan, you tell me. How are we on the technique? Have we covered it?
Fairly well. If we're going to do it on the water deal, then yeah.
Anybody want to see that? Just vote for me. I say, yeah, I'll take a day for that.
Cool.
No, Brennan, I appreciate you taking the time and coming in, kind of explaining some of this stuff. Like I said in some of the previous podcasts.
Give a thumbs up if you want on the water.
Oh yeah, well yeah. If you do want to water, give us a thumbs up right there on the. Comment on the water, or get Drew on the water, or Drew needs to go fish with Brendan. Any number of those things you can comment, or just simply give us a like, and that'd be awesome. And so as always, if you have any questions, just let us have them. But I know I was joking around on the previous podcast that. And we knew we had this one coming up, but I was like, I can go over some of the stuff, but it's just stuff I'll rudely regurgitate from what I've asked a million questions of Brennan over the last few months. So I thought it'd be a lot better to have you come on and not stumble through it and go, well, this is what I've been told, versus this is what I've put in and worked for years and years and years. Because you say F5 for 5 years, but really you're kayak strong, hitting swim baits for how long? I mean,
about 6 now.
Yeah.
Real hard. You know, I was playing with
done
them a
your due
little bit
diligence.
before then,
Yeah.
but really I committed to them for about 4 years. And just the last about year, I've kind of started playing with some other things with live scope and stuff. But
Right.
I mean, prior to that, it was just swim baits. Nothing else.
This guy's put his homework in. That's for sure. So, you know, if you have any questions or anything like that, you know, let us know because we can get answers. We know people. So we can figure anything out. But I say, Brennan, appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out. Again, as always, if you have any questions, anything you'd like us to discuss on the show, anything you'd like to see in the store, just let us know. You know, give the page a like, call us at Baitworks, email, get a hold of us Instagram, Facebook, whatever, YouTube, let us know. Brennan, thanks again.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Know you've got a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Stay
yeah.
warm. Guys, thanks for watching.